It's just telling them our entire nation is behind you.
A sign of unity from a group of Utahns, the unique way they're supporting loved ones after the massacre in Mexico.
It was anything but a smooth flight to Salt Lake City.
I just think it's terrible.
It needs to be investigated.
Why the flight had to change course, prompting the FBI to take action.
Temperatures remaining above normal, but there is a cool down. We'll show you in the 7-day forecast.
The only country they know is actually the United States. A lot of them don't even speak Spanish.
Local families living in fear ahead of a major decision going before the Supreme Court. How those living here in Utah are getting some peace of mind.
And a daring rescue near Mount Olympus. What we're learning about the crew's mission overnight and why some call them unsung heroes.
Live from Fox 13 Studios, this is Fox 13 News at 9.
Everyone did feel like this was something they wanted to attend or should attend if they could at all under the circumstances, but they had safety concerns the whole time.
Tonight, a unique perspective into a dangerous and sensitive situation as family, friends, and even journalists made the decision to travel into Mexico for the funerals of 9 Americans killed there earlier this week. Now, many didn't know how they would get there or even where they would sleep.
Yeah, that's right. Fox 13's Sydney Glenn spoke with Nate Carlisle, a journalist at the Salt Lake Tribune, who just got home hours ago from covering the aftermath of this tragedy. Sydney?
Brian and Kirsten, Nate tells me it was a mixture of loss, sorrow, and fear for the people he spoke with in Mexico.
Near the U.S.-Mexico border in Sonora, Mexico, sits the La Mora community, a place that will forever be remembered for the place the 9 Americans attacked and murdered called home.
Even when we're in La Mora, people were talking about how they do not feel safe here, and they haven't for a while.
Nate Carlisle is a journalist for the Salt Lake Tribune. He, along with photojournalist Trent Nelson, crossed the border into Mexico to cover the aftermath.
I would call it a mix of sorrow for the deceased, of the way of life that is going to disappear there now. There was a bit of a family reunion aspect to it because people saw a lot of family they haven't seen in a long time.
There were a lot of theories and questions about why this happened, but Nate says no one had any definite answers.
No one really seemed to have any expectation anybody would be caught for this. There was talk about how they'd probably have to wait till the next life for justice to be done.
Nate and Trent were there as hundreds of people gathered to say goodbye. As Nate thought back about some of the moments that stuck with him, he couldn't help but think of the husband and father left behind.
David Langford was the most sorrowful person I've ever heard. The sorrow expressed not just at the loss of life of his wife and his 2 children, but about how his way of life was over in Mexico.
The idea that life in Mexico is over for these families is one Nate says he heard from many people this week who told him they felt unsafe.
Nate tells me most of the people connected with these families have dual citizenship and careers that can transfer here to the United States. He says David Langford, who lost his wife and 2 children in that tragic massacre, told everyone he will no longer be calling Mexico home. In studio, Sydney Glenn, Fox 13 News, Utah.
In the wake of the Mexico massacre, a group of volunteers have made the trek from Utah to southern Arizona to help that community heal.
Follow the Flag raised an American flag the size of a basketball court inside a popular canyon near Tucson today to show their solidarity.
Luz Delia Caballero from our sister station in Tucson was with the group as they made their journey across state lines.
When tragedy strikes, you've seen it over history, the American flag goes up.
When Kyle Fox and his wife Carrie found out about the Mexico massacre that left 3 mothers and 6 children dead, they knew exactly what they had to do.
Over the years, I've seen what this flag can do for people. It's like a giant Band-Aid.
It's something they've been doing in their home state of Utah for several years with their group Follow the Flag. Now, for the first time ever, they're taking their work out of state to Tucson.
There's some pretty bad evil out there in the world, and by doing this, we can dilute some evil. So here we are. We got on the ground yesterday morning, scouted the canyon, gave the thumbs up to our Utah team, and they hit the road 24 hours ago, and here they are, ready to go today.
They are currently working on putting up that spider wire and that main line where the flag will eventually hang, just like this one, which is one of many that have been put up in Utah. And when the flag, the size of a basketball court, is flying high inside Ventana Canyon, this is the message they want to send out to the LeBaron family and to the grieving communities.
We just want them to know that we're here for them, that America is here for them. They're not alone.
It's just telling them our entire nation is behind you.
And it's just a reminder that we'll never back down, and you can't stop the American patriot tradition.
In Tucson, Lustelia Caballero, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Stay with Fox 13 News as we continue to follow this story and its impact here at home. We will bring you any updates as we get them, both on air and online on our social media pages and on fox13now.com.
A Cache County man is behind bars after a high-speed chase with deputies early this morning. Court documents say 35-year-old Bo Nopens was seen allegedly driving a stolen vehicle around in the Wellsville area. Authorities say he also admitted to trying to break into someone's home in Cove after the car he stole broke down. Nopens was eventually caught after he broke into the Pepperidge Farm building in Richmond.
All lanes are now open on I-15 in Bluffdale after a deadly crash shut down the northbound lanes for hours.
Fox 13's John Franke shows us what happened.
This isn't the traffic you expect to see before the sun comes up on a Saturday. Traffic at a standstill, backed up for miles. UHP says this happened around 6:30 near 146 South. This photo shows the car that was hit. The driver was trying to protect a woman who ran onto the freeway. Investigators believe she was a passenger in the car before she got out. Her boyfriend, who was driving, tried to shield her from oncoming traffic. Instead, the car was hit by a dump truck. The impact pushed the car into the victim, and she died. All traffic headed north was forced to get off the freeway in Bluffdale. The backup stretched south of Thanksgiving Point in Lehigh as investigators tried to piece together this tragic start to Saturday morning.
Around 10:30 Saturday morning, 4 hours after the accident happened, UHP reopened the lanes and traffic started moving again. Now the driver of that red car that was hit is expected to make a full recovery. In Bluffdale, John Franke, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Right now, the FBI is investigating what caused an American Airlines flight headed to Salt Lake City to divert this past Tuesday. Passengers leaving Charlotte, North Carolina were expecting a smooth flight to Utah. That changed. Reported the man next to her was repeatedly touching her, even grabbing her at one point. The pilot diverted the flight to Tulsa, Oklahoma, where police were waiting.
I just think it's terrible.
It needs to be investigated. I was just thinking how I felt sorry for that lady, and so I'm glad they, took action.
James Cholowinski was arrested for public intoxication. According to police reports, his eyes were bloodshot, his speech somewhat slurred.
In southern Utah, 3 men are in custody accused of crashing a stolen vehicle. According to our partners at the St. George News, troopers responded to a rollover on southbound I-15 towards Hurricane just before noon, involving a stolen white Chevrolet with guns inside. Troopers found one of the passengers was thrown from the car. He was taken to the hospital. Now, the other 2 suspects were arrested at the Coral Ridge housing community that's near Razor Ridge Park.
Check out this new video into our newsroom tonight of an incredible rescue from Salt Lake County rescue crews made at Mount Olympus this weekend. Crews got a call yesterday afternoon about a female hiker who called for help after inadvertently getting lost headed down Hughes Canyon. Crews were able to rescue her with a DPS helicopter at 1:30 in the morning today. Salt Lake County Search and Rescue made up of all volunteers, many of whom are first responders who get called out in the middle of the night for rescues just like this.
It's strenuous, it's a lot of hard work, but they are such dedicated individuals. The way they run their organization and their dedication to helping people that are in need, and my hat's off to them.
This is Salt Lake County Search and Rescue's 50th rescue of the year so far.
Wow. Incredible people. And a lot of people getting out to go hiking with these above average temperatures that we've been seeing, Brett.
Absolutely. A great time weather-wise to be hitting the trails. Many of you doing that. Of course, just be mindful where you're at. And we've been seeing some beautiful weather across the state. Once again, I want to highlight a photo coming in from a viewer. This is Chris Williams down in southern Utah, Red Canyon, right at dusk. That's the best time to be traveling that. This is near Bryce Canyon. Not only seeing those red rocks, but also a beautiful sunset revealing all those colors from the orange to the purples to the pinks. It was a beautiful day for sure all across the state. Now, as we take a look at your high temperatures today, we did make it up into the 60s along the Wasatch Front, as we did find those temperatures once again above normal. And as we look statewide, anywhere we did have temperatures above normal. We got up to 62 degrees in Salt Lake City, 58 in Vernal, 62 in Price, low 70s in St. George. Now, as we take a look at your current temperatures along the Wasatch Front, dipping down into the 40s right now, close to 50 degrees in Draper, 30s though in Utah County. Temperatures very similar to what we found last night or for this morning's lows, where right now we're still hanging on to the 30s throughout most of central Utah, and currently 50 degrees in St. George. A few high clouds rolling through northern Utah. We have this ridge of high pressure leaking under that ridge, that upper level moisture coming into play. That's very not deep moisture, so no threat of any showers. However, as we look at your hour by hour forecast with mostly clear skies, we start the day off tomorrow with a little bit more cloud cover. That's a little different than what we found today. Temperatures remain above normal, but not for long. We'll show you a little bit of a cool down in the 7-day forecast coming up.
Thanks, Breck. And still to come, they're making sure everyone is accepted here on the Wasatch Front, how people helped others overcome bias when it comes to the local transgender community.
And it's the celebration ahead of the winter season. We'll take you to the Shred Fest at Liberty Park.
You're watching Fox 13 News. Let's connect.
Back in Salt Lake City today, the Utah Pride Center wrapped up their Gender Evolution Conference. Those attending Transcend 2019 were given the opportunity to speak to professionals on topics like community, self-love, and mental health. Keynote speakers also discussed how we can transcend our own biases and take that first step to accepting who we are.
We hope that what lies ahead is a greater acceptance of the variety of different people in our community, the wonderful nature of including a diverse, interesting, different peoples in a community.
The Utah Pride Center hopes this conference is able to bring equity to all through education and community engagement.
Tackling topics like racism and setting a time near the end of the Vietnam War, Salt Lake City-based author Richard Paul Evans talked about his new book right here this morning on Good Day Utah. Noel Street in his 40th book, and after hits like The Christmas Box and others that have since been turned into Hallmark and other TV movies, this book is also set during the holiday season. This time, the story takes place in a fictional small town in Utah.
So much of it is set here in Utah. This one's set in a town, Mistletoe, Utah.
A fake town. I called it Garland, not realizing, no offense, so not realizing there was a Garland, Utah.
So you had to come up with another name.
And I changed it because if you put a town in there and don't get it right on, I will hear about it for the next 15 years, literally.
Seems like an honest mistake. To see the full interview with Richard Paul Evans, go to fox13now.com. Today at the Rio Grande Depot, members of Utah's Urban Food Connection celebrated the grand opening of their winter market.
Yeah, this has been going on for 7 seasons now. Members say the market is more abundant than ever thanks to hosting more than 65 vendors. In addition to produce, shoppers can also purchase homemade products and crafts unique to the market just in time for the holidays.
We have everything from delicious baked goods to grass-fed beef, turkeys for Thanksgiving, tons of produce. I know it got cold real early, but there's still a ton of produce left to have, and you can find it here.
Members from Urban Food Connections of Utah say today was a great first step to a year-round market. The winter market is held every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. until April 18th.
Right now, at 5:30, over on the east side, we've got the University of Montana.
Looks like fun. The Liberty Park Shred Fest kicked off the winter season after 2 days of intense competitions. People attending participated in a range of activities like axe throwing and a real snow rail jam. Visitors also had the chance to take part in Utah's first ever 5.0 Beer Fest. Event organizers say, despite the competitions, the festival is really about community and coming together. Money raised from Shred Fest goes back to support local nonprofits like Protect Our Winters and the National Ability Center.
Well, of course, bringing that snow to Liberty Park and seeing it depleted rather quickly because of the warm temperatures today, where again For afternoon highs, we were above normal in Salt Lake City. 62 degrees the official high today. On average, we should be in the low 50s, so temperatures almost 10 degrees above normal. Now, we got snow up in the mountains a couple of weeks ago, a shot in the arm for sure, but then it's just been this dry spell sticking around, of course, starting off this weekend. Currently in St. George, we're at 50 degrees. Calm conditions. It's been just a perfect day. Across the state, above normal temperatures, winds light. The only thing we can maybe complain about here along the Wasatch Front, we've been contending with the haze, really not mixing things out due to that high pressure. Currently, we stand at 41 degrees. A few high clouds moving through. We'll see a little bit more cloud cover across northern Utah, and we'll also see the haze. Moderate concern level as we found today. We'll find it once again tomorrow. There is some hope, though, that we potentially could mix things out as we look a little bit later on in the 7-day forecast. Now, St. George, again, another day without rainfall. That makes it 145 days. We continue, of course, add on to this record-breaking dry spell here towards the Dixie area. Is there any possibility of some showers? Well, let's take a look at that right now, where, as I said, some high-level clouds rolling through northern Utah. No concerns for any rain or snow. There is one little area that might see a little bit of snow here as we look for the weekend. We've got this cold front where most of the energy with this little system sweeping towards the east, but a portion will clip extreme northeastern Utah. Could provide tomorrow night for maybe some very light snow showers, high elevations up in the Uinta Mountains, and that's about it. Nothing elsewhere, and for most mountain locations, even for northern Utah, we won't see much. This high pressure is pretty strong, but let's take a look what's going to be taking place here, especially as we move away from the weekend. So tomorrow, a little more cloud cover across northern Utah. Temperatures remain above normal. You see this cold front and storm system sweeping through. Again, it hits mainly towards Colorado, just quipping northeastern Utah. But we move towards a northwesterly flow come Monday, so that'll allow temperatures to begin to cool off just a bit. High pressure returns for the week, though, keeping the storms away as temperatures will remain above normal, but a little bit cooler. Not until Friday through Saturday we see a little dip in that jet stream, more of a northerly flow. Some moisture extreme northern Utah towards southeastern Utah. Dixie area looks to be dry, at least from that, and then that storm moves through. But you can see under a stronger northwesterly flow, temperatures look to cool off, and that will allow things to mix out. So we'll begin to see some improvements towards the end of the week. Now across northern Utah tomorrow, a little bit cooler. Partly cloudy skies, sunny skies across the south. And for St. George, you're hanging on to the 70s up until Wednesday. Again, staying dry, a little cooler for the weekend as well. And for northern Utah, it's 60s to 50s, upper 50s, more cloud cover, but no threat of any rain or snow, as we'll keep temperatures above normal over the next several days.
Coming up, we're just a few days away from a major decision impacting migrant families right here in the U.S. How local families are gearing up for a radical change.
You're watching Fox 13 News. Let's connect.
Thousands of families across the country getting ready for the possibility of DACA protections being removed as early as next week. The Supreme Court will hear arguments on Tuesday as the Trump administration tries to prove it can legally terminate the immigration policy.
Fox 13's Adam Herbetz shows us how kids here in Utah who were brought into the country illegally as children got some help today.
For some families, it feels like time is running out as they fill out their paperwork, potentially for the last time, trying to stay in the United States.
I was born in Mexico. I go to Salt Lake Community College. I'm studying nursing. I came here when I was about 1.
Allison is now 18 years old. Her little brother, much younger. She says she's lived most of her life worried, but these next few days will be especially difficult as she waits for the Supreme Court.
A big decision is coming about DACA next November 12th.
It's thanks to DACA that I'm able to work and go to school. And kind of just want to make sure I'm in before anything happens.
Since the Obama administration, the federal government reports DACA has protected almost 800,000 people brought into the country illegally as children. President Trump says some people are taking advantage of it, so he's tried to fix DACA before eliminating it.
The Democrats have really let them down. They've really let them down. They had this great opportunity. Now people are taking advantage of DACA, and that's a shame.
The only country they know is actually the United States. A lot of them don't even speak Spanish.
That's why the Consulate of Mexico opened its doors on a Saturday to help people fill out DACA applications and meet with immigration attorneys. They can't make any promises about what will happen, but they hope it gives families some peace of mind.
He can still see that it's something that affects us, something that we stressed about, me and my sister.
Reporting in Salt Lake City, Adam Herbets, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Still ahead tonight, it was a turning point in World War II, the Battle of Midway. But how does the adaptation play out on the big screen? We'll have a review of the new movie Midway coming up. More than 40 years ago, a movie about the Battle of Midway starred some Hollywood legends.
The version out this weekend features Woody Harrelson and a Jonas brother. Not exactly the same level of casting, but as Steve Oldfield reports, it's still worth watching.
The Battle of Midway was one of the most important wins in World War II for Americans fighting in the Pacific Theater.
It's an epic telling of a very famous moment in American naval history, turning a very unlikely battle to their favor.
The aerial battle scenes are pretty amazing. The work of the guy who gave us Independence Day, among others, Roland Emmerich.
Pearl Harbor is the greatest intelligence failure in American history.
His cast is rock solid, even a Jonas brother who's just happy to be a part of it.
To be a part of this incredible cast and to work under Roland's incredible direction and to tell a story that is so important felt really special.
Nick Jonas isn't the only cast member who's drawing on a proud family tradition of serving our country.
My father served in the military and served in the Navy, so it's really meaningful to our family.
Both grandfathers served, my father served. All of a sudden you start adding it up, so that meant a tremendous amount.
My dad was in World War II. My grandfather was in these battles. There's a personal connection there. That generation sacrificed so much for all of us, for something bigger than themselves.
Midway's a movie you have to see on the big screen, and the perfect ticket leading up to Veterans Day on Monday. Steve Oldfield, Fox 13 News, Utah.
It's time for a little car shopping, but not for a new one. How about fixing up the old one you have?
Yeah, Fox 13's car critic Brian Champagne shows us the latest ideas from the companies that could make your car stand out.
This is SEMA week in Las Vegas, where stock is a start. Like this, the Mopar Jeep is loaded with accessories you can get through a dealer. The off-the-grid Ram has a pull-out sink, stove, and fridge. There's a tent, awning, solar panels, and shower up top, one-piece stamped bumper in front. If you took the Nismo Time Attack Z on a picnic, you'd have a huge table on the back. You can upgrade to a carbon fiber NSX GT3 Evo for $525,000. Toyota encouraged builders to hop up their Supra.
We took the old intake, got rid of that thing. Took the old intake for the turbo, got rid of that thing.
All that plastic got replaced with titanium, and that's just a start. The Mustang Lithium shows the future of electric muscle cars. The Bronco R prototype is kind of backwards, a custom version of the new SUV that hasn't even come out yet. The Nissan Desert Runner dumps a hot-rodded Titan V8 into a Frontier. The Nissan Kicks Street Sport adds spoilers on top and a turbo under the hood. Start with a 1968 Dodge Camper Special. Put a new Cummins diesel in front, add aluminum wheels that look like old Steelies, and a custom headliner, and you get the Lowliner.
I think the Mopar aficionados and enthusiasts will nod their head in approval.
If you need to do wheelies, there's the Challenger Drag Pack. Supercharged aluminum 354 Hemi with a racing 3-speed, parachute, wheelie bars, and roll cage, all from the factory. Brian Champagne, Fox 13's Car Critic.
Coin toss for who would start a quarterback tonight. Did I do that right?
Yeah,
look at the coin.
I thought they might go with the fourth string Joe Critchlow.
Yeah,
against
for
Liberty.
BYU,
No,
yes.
it was Baylor Romney today. It was anybody's guess. That's right, as you said. Scrolling down, BYU a heavy favorite to win their third straight. The Cougars scoring on their opening drive to notch even at 7. The Romney-Micah Simon connection. And then Simon completing a pass for the second straight game. And this time it's for 6. It was actually underthrown, but Matt Bushman Makes a heck of a catch and turn to score from 44, 17-7 BYU. Credit the Flames, they hung around, but the Cougars were always one step ahead. Leva Hifo in the flat and has the sideline. Hifo racing 41 yards to the house in the third. Then the freshman locates Moroni Lalu Pututau. Liberty still had a chance to tie it at 31. Final minute here, but it's knocked away, 31-24. Doesn't look great on paper, but the Cougs, they'll take it. Mountain West play resuming for the Aggies tonight. Final minute before the locker room. Jordan Love gets Utah State singing a good tune up 21-14. Tasty over the shoulder. COC Mariner from Jordan Love. USU then doubling up the Bulldogs at 28-14. Jalen Warren lowering the horns. Fresno, though, would proceed to score 21 of the next 24 points. Ronnie Rivers has the angle, 35-31 home team. But Utah State ended the game with a couple of Dominic Eberle kicks from 30 here as time expires, 37-35. The Aggies improved to 4-1 in conference play. Even President Trump could not miss 1 versus 2, at least in the AP poll, where LSU led Alabama by 20 at the break. Joe Burrow burrows in, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But as you might expect, the Crimson Tide battle back, scoring 4 touchdowns in the second half. Tua Tagovailoa locates some corner pylon to Jerry Jeudy to cut the Tiger lead down to 5, but this run here sealed it. Edwards-Helaire not to be denied in a shootout, 46-41, as the Tide watch their 31-game home win streak get snapped. The Utes off this week, though they should be moving up at least one more spot in the polls, thanks in part to Minnesota. The Golden Gophers never trailing 4th-ranked Penn State today and holding on for the 31-26 upset. Minnesota, one of 5 undefeated programs left in college football. Back in state now for a great finish up in Ogden. 3rd-ranked Weber State jumped out to a 14-0 lead on North Dakota, but the Fighting Hawks chipping back after a botched onside try. Nate Ketteringham has Noah Wanzik in a back pedal. Then in the third, Green takes its first lead of the game. Quick hits Travis Toivonen this time. Wildcats down 7 when the magic happens late in the 4th. Jake Constantine eyes empty real estate. Big gain to move some chains. A drive that was capped the very same way off the legs of the junior. He's going to bounce off a tackle, pinball style. Gets Purple into the end zone for the first time since the opening quarter to tie it at 27. But here's the play of the game. The ensuing kick gets muffed. Aaron Sessions swooping in to steal it inside the 10, setting up Trey Tuttle for the win from 32. That's 7 straight now for Weber, who knocks off a ranked opponent for the 4th time this season. Home opener for BYU Hoops to break open the Mark Pope era in Provo. The UVU transfer, Jake Toolson, rattling home a tray for the Cougar lead on San Diego State. Blue getting that advantage as high as 9 in the second half. Toolson hooking glass on the run this time to lead Blue with 18, but this one all Aztecs down the stretch. Tough shot in the corner, Jordan Shackle. Then this is the big one to lift San Diego up 4. KJ Fagan, final minute, 76-71, the final. The Monarchs entertaining El Paso in a USL semifinal. The Locomotives led 1-0 at the half, but Kalen Ryden is point blank to tie it early second. That 1-1 tally holding up all the way into the 119th minute. They nearly had to do penalty kicks, only Eric Holt heads home the corner to lift the Monarchs into next Sunday's championship game at Louisville. Pleasant Grove and Mountain View win state volleyball titles tonight as well.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Portman.
Woo, that is a lot.
I got it in. I got it in. That's
it was
right.
close.
Yeah.
Utes moving out the poll tomorrow?
At least one spot. Right.
Rex a happy camper today. Thanks for watching Fox 13 News at night.